Welcome back, hackers. With me is Tom Brand from Starkware. Hi, Tom.
Hi, nice to meet you, everybody.
Tom is a husband, father, and StarkNet lead. And he'll tell us more about decentralized ZK-Rollups. So yeah, let's do this. The stage is yours, Tom. Here is your presentation, and yeah, have a good plan.
1 minute. Yeah, so thank you very much for the intro, and hi, everybody. So my name is Tom Brand. Currently working with Starkware, and I'm the product manager of StarkNet. Previously, I worked on Starkix. I will explain it a little bit. Yeah, and today, actually, it's a very exciting day to discuss StarkNet because yesterday we were able to deploy the first StarkNet contract on testnet. So more on that in a second, but yeah, for us, it's a very exciting days right now. Yeah, and I'm excited to share it with you. So today, what we're going to discuss is what is StarkNet? What is our vision for StarkNet? On one foundation StarkNet stands upon. What is the project plan or how we plan to reach it? And lastly, what are the fundamental advantages that we see for StarkNet? So yeah, let's dive into it. So first of all, what is StarkNet? Like in one sentence, StarkNet is a decentralized permissionless ZK-Rollup, which will offer both scalable and secure Ethereum-like state. And what does that mean? So first of all, StarkNet is a ZK-Rollup, and like continuing the discussions from Twitter from the past week, ZK-Rollup is a layer 2, meaning it inherits the security properties of L1, in that case Ethereum. ZK-Rollup, generally speaking, mechanism is each state transition of the ZK-Rollup is proved by a proof, and the proof is verified on L1. And the state transition only occurs if a valid proof was generated and verified on L1. So this mechanism, along with the fact that the data is published on L1, means that the security of StarkNet is exactly the security of Ethereum. The second property is it will be permissionless, meaning, of course, users will permissionlessly interact with the network, but also the sequencers and the provers. Everyone will be able to participate as a sequencer or a prover in the network. And the functionality that StarkNet will support is developers will be able to write general computation contracts, and those contracts will live in a state which offers contracts the ability to interact with each other, de facto giving composability. So this is our vision for StarkNet. In my opinion, it is very, very exciting, offering scalability to the functionality and the security that you have today on Ethereum. So now that we understand where we're going, let's see where we are today, or what are the foundations. Yeah, so the foundations are things that we developed and worked on for the last 3 years at Starkware. I haven't introduced Starkware, but so Starkware is an Israeli-based startup, which started something like 3 years ago, and we've been developing technology to use zero-knowledge proofs, and specifically Starks, to offer scalability to blockchains. So the foundations that we've built for StarkNet and that are used in our production applications are, first of all, Cairo, which is the way or the language that we use to write programs, that provable programs. Then we have the Stark provers, which are how we generate those proofs. And lastly, we have Starkix, which is a working system that takes the paradigm of ZK-Rollup and those technologies and use them in a mainnet environment. Okay, so let's discuss a little bit about each one of those. So first of all, Cairo. The The first thing to say about Cairo is that it is used every day by external developers and by Starkware. We're using it today to develop our products. For the last, it powers thousands of transactions of Starkix, and it is something that is just working in production today. But if I generally discuss what is Cairo, so Cairo is a change of paradigm on how you can prove execution of computation. So before Cairo, if you wanted to generate a proof to a specific statement, you had to construct to a specific statement. Yes, you had to construct the exact circuit that described this statement. What Cairo allows us is the ability to write programs and not circuits, and then be able to generate proofs to them. The analogy is very similar to the transition from generating ASICs to the CPU architecture. And this is actually where the name Cairo comes from. It's CPU Air. Air is the name of the circuits in the Stark proof system. Now, what's really important about Cairo is that the transition to this new paradigm didn't hurt our efficiency and security. Just to give an example, when we moved in our products from writing specific circuits to using Cairo, we actually didn't lose efficiency. We gained efficiency from the ability to write various algorithms to improve the scalability of our products. So as I've said, it's in production on mainnet. And more importantly, it is available to the public. And I really, really invite you to go to cairolang.org, join our Discord server, and start going over all the materials that we have to learn Cairo. In my opinion, it is a very, very powerful tool that will power or be the underlying language for many of the future applications in the blockchain space, for example, StarkNet. But I think that we'll have various applications in many other areas, and there are multiple development teams that started gaining proficiency and expertise in Cairo, and I invite you to do the same today. Okay, so this is how we write programs that we want to prove. The second thing we have is the Stark provers. And again, the same goes for them. They are on mainnet since June 2020, I think even before. And I mean, I can say a lot of things about why they are the most powerful provers in the world, but I think the most easy way to demonstrate it is just by citing some Guinness records that we hold. So the first one is the Reddit scaling bake-off, which was some challenge that Reddit posted that wanted to check how scale can you execute 300K transactions. So what we did is we just created a single proof to this 300K transactions, which was the biggest proof up to that point. This resulted in an amazing gas price per transaction of 300. What's more amazing is that a few months after that, last month actually, in April 2021, when Immutable, which is a Starkix deployment, went on mainnet, they wanted to mint NFTs on layer 2. And since they had huge amount of NFTs, we decided to generate even bigger proofs. And we generated multiple proofs of 600K NFT mints, which resulted in less than 10 gas per mint. So you can see those are crazy numbers, and you can also see the increase from 300K transactions to 600K transactions, and we have a lot more improvements that we can apply and will apply in the future. And lastly, the last foundation is Starkix. So Starkix are ZK-Rollup applications that are live on mainnet. They are live since June 2020. We already have multiple deployments. We have payments and spot trading with Diversify. We have derivatives trading with the YDX. And we have minting and trading of NFTs with Immutable X. And we have many more deployments coming this year. And one of our motivations to always keep Starkix at the edge of our technology is that it allows us the ability to dogfood our toolchain and how we build stuff against real world needs. And so we always know that what we're building can actually operate in production and support real world needs. Okay, so now we understand where we are today and what are the foundations. We can go forward to understand how we plan to reach the vision that we started from. So, like everything that we do in Starkware, we decided to approach this journey in a stepwise approach, meaning we start by tackling the smallest building blocks and expanding them to a bigger system. So the last step is what we call universe, which will be the vision that I described at the beginning of this presentation. But where we are today is somewhere around here, meaning we already have the foundations. And we already deployed, as I've said yesterday, the alpha for planets, which is a single app rollup. The next step after planets will be to expand it to a multi-app rollup. And the last step will be to take it and decentralize the sequencers and the provers. So let's dive into each one of those. Yes, so yeah, I think I said it, but I'm really excited. So it is on alpha, on testnet, and it will be open to the public at the beginning of June, meaning, I don't know, 2 weeks. And what planets allows us is basically, it creates the concept of StarkNet contract. So developers will be able to write, they will be able to deploy, and they will be able to run, meaning to send transactions to a StarkNet contract that implements arbitrary logic. And as far as I can tell, I hope I'm not mistaken, this will be the first ZK-Rollup that is available to developers that will allow them to just write arbitrary logic in contracts, deploy it in a network, send transactions to those contracts, and have those transactions blocks be proven on L1. So this is quite exciting. Here, I won't go into it because we'll have a lot of materials explaining it once it goes live, goes out to the public. But here you can see an AMM implementation of in Cairo, which was deployed yesterday on our testnet. And we actually already have a front end to it because you can just send transactions and interact with it. So all the stuff you can see here, both this example contract and the ability for you to write contracts, will be available in 2 weeks. Maybe I should add one note is that we had like the trade-off between releasing to the public a full working system, which will be a little bit later this year, or releasing early but having some kind of prototype. So we chose to release as soon as possible whatever we have. So this alpha, in this sense, is a prototype, and we will keep expanding features to it further down the road. But one of the main motivations that we have to release it and open it to the public is to start getting a lot of feedback. So I really, really encourage you, and I hope that you'll do it, to start trying to write contracts, deploy them, interact with them, and start give us some feedbacks, either through our Discord server, or you can just contact me directly. My handle is bbrantom anywhere. Yeah, and I mean, I'm very excited about it, and I hope people will be as well. So this is the first step, and this is the building block, which is the StarkNet contracts. The next step will be to take those contracts and put them in a multi-app rollup. We expect this to be live on mainnet, not on testnet, by the end of this year. And what it will offer is it will be an Ethereum-style permissionless interaction with the network, right? So you will have smart contracts. They will be able to interact with each other. Everyone will be able to deploy them and send transactions to them. It will offer seamless interoperability with Ethereum L1, meaning you will be able to send transactions from and to L1 and have immediate invocation of those transactions. This, maybe I will say just one sentence about it, but since in ZK-Rollup, once you send a state update of the L2 of StarkNet to L1, it immediately finalized. If the proof is correct, then you can immediately execute transactions that were sent from L2 to L1. So this allows to have very, very nice properties and very, very nice interactions between L1 and L2. We will also support multiple signatures options. So we'll support either Ethereum signatures or the more efficient Stark signatures. And of course, all of this will not compromise on scale. So the main reason we are building StarkNet is to offer a scalability solution. Even with all those Ethereum-like properties, we will still keep our main goal is to offer scale. So once we have this, the next step is to add the ability for both sequencers and provers to be permissionless. We want to do it without creating a new consensus mechanism. So our plan is to rely on Ethereum consensus mechanism, and also the fact that we're using validity proofs in order to allow these leader election mechanisms to be to operate very good. And we'll also design crypto economics mechanisms that will allow this network to start operating on its own, and also incentivize efficient and fair operation of the network. And just to be clear, we don't plan these crypto economics mechanisms to affect the security of the network. So the security relies solely on the Ethereum consensus and the Ethereum security. But there are many aspects of the network, functional aspects that can be much improved with those kinds of crypto economic mechanisms. Okay, great. So we have the vision, we have the foundations, and we have the project plan. And maybe I'm getting to the end of my talk, but first to summarize what we see as the fundamental advantages, and then I will summarize what makes me excited and what I hope you'll also take from this talk. So first of all, StarkNet scalability, right? StarkNet is a scalability solution, and why we think StarkNet can offer the best scalability from all the solutions. So first of all, if we look off-chain, as I've said, we have the most efficient provers, and the most efficient provers means that we can generate proofs to the biggest computation, and this allows us to have massive scale. From the on-chain perspective, the main cost on the on-chain side, since we are using ZK-Rollup, is the need to post on-chain the state updates. So StarkNet will have the smallest data footprint, first of all, because it's a ZK-Rollup. So you only need to post on-chain the state diff, meaning, and not the full execution trace, like for example in optimistic rollup. And also the fact that we are using Cairo allows us to have to implement very easily compression algorithms, which are specifically to the structure of the state that we are having. That's allowing us to even further reduce the data footprint on chain. Then we have security. So it's very easy to achieve scalability if you compromise on security. But as we've said, the ZK-Rollup security is the same security as L1. And also very important is the fact that we are using software stack which is production tested. All of the technology that we are using is already on mainnet today, and we see it as a very, very important aspect of the way we do stuff. And lastly is the state finality. So as I've said, in a ZK-Rollup L2, every state transition is final immediately. It's either valid or invalid. There's no dispute period. There's nothing like that. So this has two very important properties. The first one is capital efficiency, which sometimes get a little bit neglected, but it's really a very, very important property for a layer that wants to have financial activity. And the second property is the interoperability between L1 and L2. So as I've said before, messages between L1 and L2 can flow freely and be executed immediately. And this is very important to allow events from L2 be used on L1 without the need to have some trusted oracles. Yeah. So I think that the last thing, even though it's very early to think what can be built, is might have major implications on what applications can be built on top of L2. And lastly, just to summarize what is StarkNet. So StarkNet will have the general computation and the composability and generally the experience of Ethereum, but it will offer the scalability, the security, and the capital efficiency of ZK-Rollup. And it lies on solid foundations. It's not something that just come out of thin air, but we really believe in the technology that powers it. And maybe the most important thing is that the alpha will be open to the public at the beginning of June. And I'm very, very excited to start seeing what people can build and what feedback we're going to get from this alpha. So thank you very much. If you have any questions, I'll gladly answer them. And if not, it's also fine.
Hey, Tom, thank you very much for your presentation. Let's wait a couple of seconds and see if we have any questions. Now is the time to ask them. And yeah, congrats on the public AlphaNet.
Thanks.
I'm excited to see it. Yeah, so actually I have a question for myself. There is a lot of projects building L2s at the moment. How would you say that StarkNet fits into the bigger ecosystem that's being built right now?
In what sense? I mean, would it be able to interact with other L2s, or
like what are the advantages? What will be your target user group? What are the differences between the other projects that are launching right now?
Okay, yeah, very good question. So for me, what we are trying to achieve with StarkNet is expanding what Ethereum offers or adding to what Ethereum offers the scalability or the very cheap operation. Our aim is to have, for example, DeFi being able to directly work on StarkNet. We're trying, like in every decision that we need to decide on how to design or architect StarkNet, we're trying to have it as much similar as we can to Ethereum in order to be able to have the same paradigms on how to write applications, how can they interact with each other. I think there's a different set of applications in which the composability and the fact that you exist in a shared state is less necessary, and for them, and we see them with Starkix, right? So they're not yet live, but we have many customers for Starkix, which the fact that it is a system with the security of Ethereum and the scale of Starkix is very good for them. So I imagine the customers or the users of StarkNet to be more the DApp-oriented developers.
Okay, so DApp developers and low cost and Ethereum compatibility. That's what I took out. Okay, that sounds great. Yeah, I'm really excited about L2 projects, and I think they will move the whole ecosystem forward and take it to the next level.
Yeah, I think the transition to like the focused transition to L2 scalability solutions was very fast, and I mean it's very exciting to have this all kind of innovation all the time. So yeah, it's nice.
Yeah. Glad to have you working on it. I don't think we have any questions from the audience at the moment. Do we have any links where people can reach you in case they do have any questions? I know that you mentioned your Twitter account. I will put it
Yeah,
on the screen right now. And
and also the
you also
Discord
mentioned the
server. Yeah,
Discord.
yeah. So I can post here an invite, or you can just find it. Yeah, I will put it.
Yeah, send it to me, and I will make sure to put it in the video description so our viewers can find it below. Yeah, got it. So I will put it in the description just in a second.
Perfect.
Cool. Tom,
Yeah.
thank you very much for your time.
Yeah. Thanks for having me here.
It was a pleasure to have you.
Thanks.
Yeah, have a great day. Thanks.
Bye bye.